Hi, welcome to my channel, The Six Sigma Lean Coach. I'm Chad, and if you're new here, I talk about all things Six Sigma and Lean, and I try to help coaches and coachees understand Six Sigma concepts and principles, problem solving, as well as Lean. Today in this video, though, I want to talk about a question that came to me about the belt system, right? And if you're not familiar with the belt system, Lean, Six Sigma, well not Lean particularly, but Six Sigma has a belt system. Believe it or not, it starts out at the white belt, but it goes all the way up through Master Black Belt. And someone asked me, do you have to have a green belt or a yellow belt to attain a black belt? And the answer to that question, quite frankly, is no, you don't have to have a green belt to get a black belt. However, there are some stipulations that I would encourage you to do if you don't have a black belt already, or if you're not in the pursuit of a black belt and you don't have a green belt or a yellow belt. I myself went through the steps. I didn't get the white belt, but I went I went green belt at another company. Then I came to an aerospace company and went through their green belt program again and their black belt program, having already had a black belt from another program. And then I did the ASQ black belt. So, you know, if you ask me, I'm maybe not the best person to ask. I think you should go through the steps because you're going to build a certain amount of knowledge through those belts, right? So if you were to go yellow belt, which gives you a basic core understanding of Lean and Six Sigma, at least it does in my courses. I try to teach both Lean and Six Sigma in my yellow belt course, and then the green belt, of course, deeply goes into some Six Sigma problem solving, and then on the black belt. But you're going to build as you go through. If you've never had, if you've never had any statistics or you've never done anything, and it's not just statistics, listen, it doesn't matter. It's how you apply those statistics, and I think that's what makes black belts and master black belts and even green belts so unique. Because understanding statistics is one thing, right? Knowing how to calculate numbers is one thing. Understanding how to take those numbers and apply those to improve a process is something completely different, and that's what makes black belts worth the money that they get paid. And in fact, I think that's another topic we can talk about another day. But a lot of people think that Six Sigma, black belts, things like that. They don't have a lot of. There are people that don't really care about that, right? They think that we're maybe overpaid or it's just a dying profession and doesn't really do much for organizations. It's the silliest thing I've ever heard. There's so many white papers out there you can go look at that that refute that. But again, it takes a good, skilled black belt, green belt, or master black belt to be able to make the changes that I'm talking about. It can't be just any black belt. Nowadays you meet people and everybody has a black belt. Oh, I have a black belt. Really quickly, through a couple of questions and having a conversation with the person, I can tell really quickly if they really do have a black belt, or maybe they have one. I don't want to knock it. Maybe they have one, but they're not using the skills, so they haven't kept up on it. I read this stuff all the time. I mean, I enjoy it. I read up on it. I study. There's books on my desk, in my desk right now beside me. That's all about Lean and Six Sigma. And it's something that if you're in the profession and you take it serious and you say you're a black belt, you need to really be a black belt. Otherwise, you can say I was trained in black belt and I hadn't used it in a while and I don't remember a lot of it. That's fine if you want to say that. And it doesn't take away from the fact that you were once a black belt. But, sometimes I've run into black belts that were problem solving or trying to problem solve, and they were missing core elements. I mean, not even understanding the problem statement. They didn't even know what they were fixing. And one key question comes out that I always ask is when I walk into a situation that I didn't start the problem solving investigation, and that is, what will success look like? When we're done with this problem solving routine that we're doing, what will success look like? What am I trying to achieve? Now, there's some other questions you can ask too, but believe it or not, a lot of times when you ask that question, they can't answer it because they would say, what you want to hear is you want to hear, oh, we're X percent out of specification of X percent or X specification. You want to hear very clear metrics and how long it's been happening. Okay, that's what you want to hear. That way okay, if we're this far out, all I gotta do is go back here and we're back in and we're successful. We can move on with life as long as we put in a countermeasure. So again, countermeasure and control for my black belts out there is going to beat me up in my comment section. I get it. But what I'm trying to say is, fundamentally, black belts and green belts, if you're going to go out and get a belt, and you want to be a black belt, I think that's the sort of the pinnacle or master black belt. Don't just go out and do it, right, and just to say you have it. You have to stay trained on it. You have to read on it. You have to stay educated, right? Because new technologies are coming out. There's a lot of new things happening. And you want to make sure that you're at the top of your game. You don't want to just go out and market yourself as a black belt or a master black belt or a green belt and then not have the skills or knowledge to go behind it. And here's what I'll say. I'll say this. I practice Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, okay? And right now I'm a 3-stripe blue belt. If you don't know the belt system there, it's white, blue, purple, brown, black. And I've been practicing Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu for 6 years. It takes a long time to get a black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, 10 to 14 years, sometimes longer. And you can meet, let's say I meet a black belt at my academy, and then I meet another black belt. Now, pretty sure one of those black belts are better than the other one. It's because they've trained differently. They've trained at different locations. One's putting in the work every day. One might not be putting quite as much work in. And so you're going to have two black belts that are going to be respectfully at different levels within their jiu-jitsu journey, right? And it's the same way with obtaining a black belt in Lean and Six Sigma or Six Sigma. And that's because we're all going to be at different areas in our journey. Now, here's the key thing about the black belts in jiu-jitsu. As long as they're still practicing, it's great. But what if we have a black belt that decided, in jiu-jitsu, that decided, he's going to take 10 years off and come back. He comes back to jiu-jitsu. Is he going to have the same skills he had when he left? No. In fact, we might not even consider him, I better not say that. I was going to say we might not even consider him a black belt anymore. I mean, he'd still be a black belt. He had the knowledge. It's in there somewhere, but he hasn't practiced the art in 10 years. So it's not my call to make on that. I'm a little scared of even saying that because the jiu-jitsu community is really tight. What I will say is this. In Six Sigma, which I'm more comfortable making calls because that's my profession. In Six Sigma, if you say you're a black belt, you haven't used the skills in 10 years, are you really still a black belt? I mean, you haven't practiced it, you haven't stayed up on the information or up to date on the information, you haven't studied it. A lot of times when you do these things and you don't retain the skills, you don't retain the skills that you once had. So it's difficult to say. You're going to have two black belts in two different areas of the journey. So I'm respectful of that and I'm cognizant of that. I'm cognizant that I might be a higher level black belt than someone else, and I'm also cognizant of the fact that I might be a lower black belt level than someone else. But I am very aware of the fact that many of the black belts I meet and talk to don't seem to stay up on the standards. They don't seem to read about it. They don't seem to study a lot, or they don't seem to have using the skills. Maybe they've moved up to higher positions where they don't need those skills, or they don't use them as much as they did at one time. So this is a long drawn out answer to a simple question. Should you go through the belt system? The answer is, in my opinion, yes. You should go through yellow, green, and black. The only thing that can come out of that is just good information, more education for yourself that you can apply and help not just yourself, but the company that you work for, or if you're a consultant, other companies, many companies, and not just the companies, but the companies are made up of what? People. And that's what it's about. You're going to be helping people. Maybe you're going to help people keep their jobs because you went in and solved the problem they couldn't solve. Maybe you're going to help a person figure out that's what they want to do for their career, and so now they're learning those skills, and you can coach them. Maybe you're going to go in and teach a room full of people how to problem solve properly, and so now they're helping the company. They're elevating their education. They're elevating their salaries. They're elevating the company, and it's all about. In my opinion, it's always about the people. So make sure you keep that in mind as you progress. Don't rush it. Again, it's a journey, and learn as much as you can, but then keep reading and keep educating yourself, because that's something that you're going to have to do forever, right? I just felt like, I wanted to address that. If you have any comments, put those in the comment section below. Thanks for watching my video, and I'll see you in the next video.